Just a few days ago, we showcased you the Flight Seat Pro, another beautiful addition. Rather, an updated way to design a seat and offer you more comfort, functionality on flight simming. A recent release from Next Level Racing, the Flight Seat Pro that helps flight simmers get more engaged on their journeys. What we're featuring today is a Flight Stand Pro that's designed to go perfectly well with the Flight Seat Pro. Now, as a dedicated flight simmer, I recently got my hands on the Flight Stand Pro, a cockpit stand designed to elevate my flight simulation experience. And in this video, I intend to share my thoughts taking into account on various aspects of its setup and performance. What's the use of a flight stand? Does it make a difference? Does it matter to flight simming? Does it help elevate your flight simming experience? We're gonna cover them all, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Chikmang Law. With the recent review of the Boeing cockpit a few months ago, the team reached out to me to get my opinion on the latest installment, give the stand a try, and see if this can make a difference in my experience. What do I think about this, and will this be my choice of product? It's 2023, a world that has changed the gaming industry definitively. Yes, there are tons to design what you desire actually, trying to help you personalize your experience. For example, we saw plenty of cockpits on racing over the years. That's where it all started. Followed up with racing, came truck simming, flight simming, and the list can go on and on. Now hardwares are plenty today, especially gaming that needs some space, a dedicated space, and it's not the age where gaming was pocket friendly like your Nintendo Game Boy, although there are plenty out there. But for flight simmers who really want to be in the field, immerse themselves and engage in more and more journeys. This has resulted in investing in a rig having a dedicated framework for you to sit back and spend plenty of hours flight simming. As pricey as it sounds when it's a rig, getting yourself a rig, a complete setup can cost you in the long run. But it does help you be part of that experience, and most of the simmers have been leaning over the lines of how immersive can flight simming get. Let's talk about Next Level Racing. Do we know Next Level Racing enough? They've been in this field from a decade and understood every part and aspect of what a gamer or a simmer needs. The Flight Stand Pro have been the fourth installment in the area of flight simulation. It all began with the Flight Simulator Lite, moved to the Boeing Cockpit series, a fully fledged flight simulator cockpit that comes with 3 different variants. We've actually reviewed one of the variants, and do take a look here. Now comes the Flight Seat Pro and the Flight Stand Pro. But what we're featuring today is the Flight Stand Pro alone. I would suggest you to take a look at the Flight Seat Pro, which was a recent video as well. Unboxing. Now the shipping box came in a safely 30 kg box with all the contents neatly wrapped. This has been their trademark over the years. Safety on all their products to maintain quality. Setup. Let's take a look at my setup here. Now this was how my setup was before. An IKEA dinner table, a good one by the way. Spacious that accommodated various things as we see it. But the setup could have been much more cleaner, I felt. I was still fine with this. Now setting up a hardware like this takes some time on planning and effort. Do sit down and make a proper plan on this. A space dedicated for this kind of activity is needed, and try to place it somewhere that's safe in a corner as it gets more comfortable with that dedicated space. Now unboxing took a bit of time with all the elements that were neatly wrapped. When assembling the Flight Stand Pro, I found it helpful to wear shoes. It helps on safety. Now one suggestion is to move the contents to the room where you plan to install them. Yes, you might think that you can install it in one room and move it to another, just because it has wheels. But trust me, the stand is wide enough, and either your room needs to have a door that's wide open to move. Now assembling the Flight Stand Pro was straightforward, but I learned that it's best not to take out all the parts at once. This can save a lot of time and effort and prevent any confusion during the setup process. I suggest going through the manual, unpacking only the ones you think are needed. This applies to the configurable parts like plates. It saves time and effort. The setup took about roughly a couple of hours. The instruction manual was extremely useful that offered step-by-step guidance. If need be, you can also find a video tutorial on setting up the stand that makes it easier to install. I felt that the quality of materials used were better than the last time. After all the setup, it was time to test and feel if there was a difference. But before that, there were so many other elements that mattered as a user. Ergonomics. Now flight simming isn't a 15-minute activity. It can go on for hours, and this can happen every day. Therefore, one critical aspect to consider during setup is the height of the Flight Stand Pro. The stand's height plays a significant role in creating a comfortable and an ergonomically flight simulation setup. It's essential to plan properly and adjust the stand's height according to your preferences and specific needs. This is important for you. Proper planning of the stand's height is not only about personal comfort, but also aligns with recommendations from doctors. Therefore, maintaining an optimal height can help prevent potential strain or discomfort during long simulation sessions. Plus, reduce issues and not to forget the distance from your eyes to the monitor. That's another important aspect to consider. For the time being, I'll be using my flight stand to place my monitor. I plan to get a monitor stand for this separately to make sure there's enough and a safe distance for my eyes to the monitor. After using this for a few days, I really think it made a difference, especially comparing the Boeing cockpit from Next Level Racing. Now, I do believe that the Boeing cockpit is a great move, but at the same time, it felt a bit crowded, plus not easy to get in and get out of the cockpit. The flight stand here made things more easier and flexible. Quality and design. The build quality is well made, sturdy, and felt that this can last a long time. That's quite important when you buy something for a permanent basis. On the aesthetics front, I was impressed by the Flight Stand Pro's quality and design. The finish, along with a branded logo, gave it a sleeker and an appealing look. Now it seamlessly blends into my simulation setup, adding a touch of professionalism to the overall experience. Now I've mentioned this before on the Flight Seat Pro video. One of the standout features of the Flight Stand Pro is the inclusion of wheels. Now these wheels prove to be a significant benefit, at least for me personally, as they allow me to move the stand with ease. I can effortlessly make adjustments to my PC or the cockpit setup without any hassle. Plus, when you clean your room or vacuum it, it becomes even more easier. There were many things I noted with this stand. It sure deems useful to me, and there are reasons for that. Having flight instruments that are visible to your eyes easily during flight simming is key for a good flight. Now, flight instruments give us vital information, letting us maintain control of the aircraft, making the right decisions. In my case, I do have an instrument panel. It helps with better control, navigation, plus IFR flying. I sure think this is the perfect companion for IFR conditions, and flight instruments are the primary means of maintaining control and orientation. Not to forget, one of the key points would be realism and immersion. Now, the aim of flight simulation is to replicate real-world flying as closely as possible. Having instruments perfectly placed enhances the realism and immersion of the experience, making it effective and relative to flight simming. As we can see, the entire stand can now accommodate several of my hardware. From the keyboard to the left, it makes it easy for me to get in and get out by simply unscrewing this. The flight switch panel, which makes it easier to control switches. The monitor that sits comfortably right up front. Now this is a 32-inch monitor. The 24-inch monitor that carries the instrument panel and the Bravo throttle quadrant on the right. 4 different instruments that sit perfectly well. Now the standalone costs you $499. Now if you want to pair it with the Flight Seat Pro, the combined package of both the Flight Stand Pro and the Flight Seat Pro would cost you $1098. In conclusion, the Flight Stand Pro is a remarkable addition to any flight simmer. Now the stand's adjustable height aligns with the recommendations for better ergonomics, promoting a healthier and an enjoyable simulation session. Now overall, the Flight Stand Pro has enhanced my flight simulation journey, and I highly recommend it to fellow enthusiasts looking to elevate your experience. As I mentioned, pairing it with the Flight Seat Pro is a great choice, I would say, and it sure is a better option than the Boeing cockpit in my opinion, offering you a leaner yet serious cockpit plus the quality that offers you long hours of flight simming. I hope you enjoyed this video and thank you for watching. As always, it's been a true pleasure, and until next time, do take care and happy flying.